Is it thing on? Yeah, it is on. Yeah, Carlos Baleba is officially a Manchester United fan, and for 70 million. And I'm going to say something that might piss off both sides of the fan base, the United, those who are in favor of this deal, and those who are not in favor of this deal. And I don't think this is going to be automatically be a great transfer just because we got him for 70 million. Before you start shouting at me, yes, I like the player. Yes, I think Baleba fits Man United. Yes, I think he can become a long-term successor to Casemiro. Yes, and yes, if Brighton really wanted at around 100 million last summer, and United have now got him for 70 million, saving 30 million is excellent negotiation. I give that to United. But here's my question. Did did Manchester United save 30 million or does West an entire year to save that 30 million? Yes. And that's because that's a real story that we'll be getting into. Because what exactly did Manchester United buy? Uh, Let me share my screen and show you guys. So Manchester United, let's start with the obvious. Baleba is a DM. Number one, he's a big DM. Number two, he's physical. Number three, he's aggressive. Number four, he's an excellent ball carrier. Number five, he's strong in duels. Number six, he can cover ground. Number seven, he can recover position, and that and importantly for Michael Carrick, he can act as part of a single pivot, and that's huge because Carrick's isn't building around a traditional two-man midfield. Let's talk about let's talk about the formation. Carrick, we all know Carrick plays in a back four. In a back four, that is a 4-2-3-1. That is a left back, two centre backs, and a right back, two CDMs, attacking midfielder, left winger, right winger, a striker. So Baleba isn't coming here. So, hmm, where slipped. Sorry about that. Oh, so Baleba ain't coming here simply to be another midfielder. He's coming here to provide the defensive foundation of that midfield. And when you look at his potential combinations, Baleba plus Santos, Baleba plus Menu, Tillsman plus Menu, Santos plus Menu, yeah, Baleba plus Santos is a defensive and physical duo. Baleba plus Menu is a balanced duo. Tillsman plus Menu is a possession and control duo. Santos plus Menu is a physical transition duo. And that's a very interesting midfield group, those. So again, I'm not attacking Baleba. I'm questioning why we needed to buy him now at that price when we should have bought him at other price if it was really important. So this is where I think Man United's recruitment team needed to be a little bit examined because in my mind, but United didn't have one midfield problem. They had three with different midfield requirements. Number one, in 2025 we knew in United needed competition. Yeah. Number two, yeah, you need another technical midfielder to Another technical midfielder who can challenge him and give him control. This is where someone like Tinsman made sense, and that's where I contract the recruitment on getting it right, but they got it right one summer later on. Igate needed a long-term squad replacement or alternative. He needed someone physical, someone athletic, because Agate wasn't at that time athletic or physical, and someone who can cover ground and someone who can compete for defensive midfield minutes, and that's where Andre Santos type mid profile can make sense. Yes, number three, Casemiro needed succession planning, not a temporary replacement, not someone who's filling in, but a joining long term number six, and that's where Carlos Baleba comes in. Uh, mm. And this is where I started to question the plan, because if those were the three problems, why did Man United identify these profiles, all these kind of players in 2025? Not necessarily the three players, but the three profiles. Yeah, we should have had a long term defensive number six last summer. We should have had a physical number six slash eight rotational midfielder last summer. We should have had a technical possession midfielder last summer. And then you identify multiple targets for each, not I don't know, not that spending weeks and months negotiating a Baleba deal last summer. Each in the end, we didn't have enough time to go sign a left back or a centre back or a striker in the end, and that was frustrating. Yes. Then you identify, and if Brighton say they wanted 100 million for Baleba, you don't panic. You don't wait around 12 months, or maybe you don't negotiate it for like several weeks, and then you suddenly say, "Oh shit, the transfer window is about to close. There's not enough time to go sign a left back." That is bullshit. Baleba isn't coming to United because of the high transfer fee. 100 million, you are not going to pay it. So and you are willing to pay 5 million? Why can't you divert the 5 million to go buy a left back, centre back, or a striker, or one of those positions? Yeah, you don't panic. You don't wait 12 months. You say, okay, he's expensive, and who's the number two option? Who's the alternative option? And then who's the number three? And that is what you call a recruitment session as well. Yeah, and now let's be fair. If Baleba could cost approximately 100 million in 2025, and United have now got him for 70 million, that's a 30 million saving. And not going to sit here and call that bad business, because that's a good negotiation coming from a guy who did accounting and business studies. That's actually good negotiation. And actually, it's a very good negotiation. But here's the problem: 30 million is not only it's not only the only thing that matters, but because between summer 2025 and summer 2026, United had an entire season where Baleba wasn't here, an entire season where Casemiro was still around, and that actually important for squad planning. Yeah, because imagine United had signed Baleba in 2025. He gets a full season under Casemiro to mentor Baleba. He learns positioning, he learns defensive timing, he learns cleaning, he learns when to hold, he learns when to step out, he learns how to protect the centre backs, he learns how to manage transitions. Then Casemiro leaves in June 2026 and Baleba takes over. That is what you call a successful succession planning. Instead, what happened? Casemiro is gone, and now Baleba arrives. So the player has to adapt to Man United, the Premier League pressure, playing for Big Six club, the correct system, Old Trafford, a new dressing room, yeah, and being the 70 million Casemiro replacement all at once. And here's a Bigger question: if United decided 100 million is too expensive for Baleba, fine, accept that. But then, why did we move on? This is the part I want Ineos to explain. If Baleba was the player wanted for Casemiro's succession, where were the alternatives? Where was the plan B? Where was the plan C? Where was the plan D in summer 2025? You don't get to spend an entire summer, or entire year, or entire weeks last summer orchestrating one player and then act surprised when the positioning still needs solving 12 months later on. And now we get to summer 2026. This is where my confusion becomes even bigger because United now have signed and Santos. And my interpretation of Andrew Santos was he's meant to be a rotational player. He's meant to compete for competition, and it's meant to be physical midfield option. I didn't see him as a direct long-term replacement. Then your return comes in. It makes sense as a technical position midfielder, someone who can compete around Kobe Menu, someone who can help control Man United control game, someone who can manipulate low and medium blocks. So if that was a 2026 plan of Santos plus Tillsman, then why was 2025 plan focused on solving the Casemiro succession? Because now we have Santos, Tillsman, Menu, Gate. Gate should have been sold, and now Baleba. That's five midfielders competing for limited the number of positions. Inter did want that to happen. I wanted that to happen. And that's before you can even discuss how Carrick wants to distribute minutes. This is where opportunity cost hurts. Yeah, let's say United have done the following. Summer 2025, they signed the long-term Casemiro replacement. Maybe it was Baleba, maybe it's someone else. The point is the position is solved. Summer 2026 arrives, he still signs Santos plus Tillsman. And instead of spending 70 million on Baleba, yeah, because you wouldn't have spent 70 million on Baleba. The money goes to attack the rest of the squad because we still need to buy a left back, backup left back, a backup left back. We still need to buy a backup striker, and you still need to buy a centre back option because, wow, United centre back depth is in great places. One centre back is injury prone, another centre back is suspension prone, and discipline prone, and we just have one senior centre back and we have two developing centre backs. Yeah, so it is something of a doom. Left back, yeah, this one is obvious. Luxor, Luxor being fit last season was fantastic. Let be let be realistic. Can you genuinely plan a season around Luxor playing two to, 2 or 3 games every week? That's a question. You need a proper left back option, not will use somebody there if Luxor is not available. I don't want this thing of Sergio of a rival lone player coming in like Sergio Legoland came in, or or maybe we let go of a youngster to go out on loan and then we are in deep shit and then we need a centre back to play left back. No, I didn't want that thing. I wanted a proper left back to come in, a real rotational player, someone who can start Premier League games and someone who can play cup games and someone who can keep Luke Shaw for being overloaded and eventually take over from Luke Shaw. Then we have the centre back option. Then we got centre back. This one isn't about having 5 names on a squad list. This one is about reliable senior availability. We have got injury concerns, we have got suspension concerns, we have got younger players, we have got academy depth, we have and suddenly one injury and one suspension can happen simultaneously. And suppose your our deep center back department doesn't look so deep anymore, and that's why I wanted another center back. backup striker. The then striker position is happening. I'm not asking United to buy another 80 million superstar. I'm asking who's actually going to give the starting striker a rest, because we are going to sell Zaxi. You cannot have a makeshift striker in Mbombe, because Mbombe was brought in to be a right winger, not a striker. And because we're playing Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Carbo Cup, and potentially even more competitions in the future if we win this competition, these current ones that we're playing, you cannot expect one striker to carry everything and a proper backup striker let Carrick rotate without destroying the attack. So here's the question: either option one A of 70 million on Baleba, or option B of 70 million on the left back plus centre back plus backup striker. Yeah, because obviously 70 million isn't necessary enough for the elite players, but with sales, smart recruitment, and different profiles, you can distribute that budget. But that's the point. Squad planning isn't a FIFA Ultimate Team. You don't just ask, is Baleba better than the alternative? You ask, what combination makes United better? And that's what matters. And also, one thing that I thought about in this thing, heading to this thing, yeah, is, now we need to get to the point where it might piss off some people. Yeah. And this came to my mind. Why did United suddenly push out the news at a certain time? Because for all those who remember, United played in Milan. We lost 4-2. It was a final precision game. Glazers, Inos was there. Wilcox was there. Barada was there. We lost. We were embarrassed by Ruben Amorim's team. It was a final precision game. And 2 days before that, reports had suggested, I remember seeing online reports were suggested that United were close to completing the midfield recruitment, and but were deciding on the final midfield piece. Then, then after that match, it reports claim the next day that there will be a Sunday emergency meeting, and I'm sitting there thinking, why are we having an emergency meeting on a Sunday? Then Tuesday comes, United are closing in on Baleba. Now I'm not saying Milan beat us 4-2, so Ineos. I'm not saying Ineos can panic bought Baleba. That is ridiculous if you're following what I'm saying. A 70 million transfer does not materialize because somebody loses a precision game. No, there has been months of scouting, negotiation, financial decisions, player conversations, medical work, and all of that. But the timing raises a legitimate question: was Baleba already the plan, and did Milan simply accelerated the decision, or did that precision performer expose a problem that finally forced United to act? Because those are completely different things. Yeah. So United, well, no, United's board has always been two different things. Recruitment board, we have always been a reactive recruitment board. A strategic recruitment board will say we need a number six. Baleba is our preferred target. He's too expensive. Here are our alternatives. Will it return when the market changes? Or maybe, here are our alternatives, but are the alternatives good enough to outweigh the pros of not signing of the cons to outweigh the cons of not signing the main target? If they're not, they'll shift over to to other positions. And then and then they return when the market changes. That is exit. That is the challenge it. And that's what United tried to do, but they forgot the part of going to other positions instead of leaving that market alone. Yes, that's what they forgot. A reactive uh, recruitment says the midfield is not good enough. We need a defender, defensive midfielder. Who can we get? Baleba, go. That's firefighting. I don't want United behaving operating like the second one. I want United to behave like a strategic recruitment team. What you actually think of Baleba? This is what I actually think of Baleba. Let me make this clear. I like the player. He's physical, aggressive, powerful, progressive career. He's capable of winning duels. He can cover huge spaces. He can give Carrick something that United desperately needed, a proper defensive pivot that's valuable, and it's only 22. And so there's room for development, but he's not perfect. Obviously, no human being is perfect, and this is where uh, people need to come down. His passing isn't currently the defining feature of his game. Is more naturally a win, carry, progress than a receive, detect, control 11 passes. Yeah, that's where I will not build an entire precision structure around him, position structure around him, and that's also why Tillsman plus menu can be such a useful position pairing, but those are different tools, and those two will compete for each other for that spot. So that pairing can never work. And these are different tools, different problems. Beleba doesn't have to become like Tillsman, but he needs to become a, an elite number six. Yes. And that's where Michael Carrick matters because now Carrick has options in that midfield. I guess a low block, Carrick can play a Tillsman plus menu. That brings patience, control, manipulation against a physical, aggressive opponent. Against, and then, he can play Baleba plus Santos, who brings defensive security, duels, transitions, uh, for ba- transitions for balance. If wants to play for balance game, can play Baleba plus menu, which brings a physical protection plus carrying. And that's actually where I think this transfer makes sense because the problem isn't Baleba. The problem is whether recruitment team builds the squad around him intelligently. So did United win? Let's go it out of 10. Player wise, 9 out of 10. Tactical fit, 9 out of 10. Static price, 8 out of 8.5 out of 10. 70 million is considerably better than 100 million in terms of price. So yeah, the one there. Timing, 5 out of 10. That's where I have questions. Squad planning, unknown because the, that is the deliberate. I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge the transfer in isolation. This transfer in isolation, and final verdicts is: did United get a 100 million player for 70 million, maybe, or did United save 30 million potentially, but was the 70 million better deal than 100 million? Obviously, it was, but did United waste an entire year to achieve that saving? Yes, that is a legitimate question because if the answer is yes, is we wanted Baleba in 2026, but the 100 million was too expensive. Then my next question is, where was the alternative? United cannot afford to spend 12 months staring at one player. And if Santos and Tisman were already going to be 2026 additions, then I want to know why didn't the money, 2025 money, go towards a left back or centre back or backup striker? That's that's a part that matters because winning an occasion isn't the same thing as winning the window. Yeah, and these are my closing remarks. So I'm not going to sit here saying, and I know people will come here saying, "Oh, he said Baleba is about signing." No, I'm not. Baleba is not about signing. It's far from that. I'm saying Baleba is a good price, good player, good price. Now show me the rest of the plan. Because if United can now go from signing Baleba to go signing a left back, and then or maybe sign a centre back or backup striker, or sign two of those of left back, centre back, or backup striker, then I'll happily sit here and say, fair enough, the plan worked. But if Baleba is the final major move of this transfer window left, then we have got a different conversation because United doesn't need to win the Baleba transfer. They need to win the squad building exercise, and those are two different things. 100 million, 70 million, 30 million saved, or 1 year wasted. You tell me in the comments. Well, this is Football Overseas. Like, subscribe, comment, and was Baleba worth waiting for? Comment, was Baleba worth waiting for, or should United have solved the position in 2025 or use the 2026 to fix the left back, centre back, and striker? I'll post the rest of my analysis on a separate video because this is that's me ranting about this thing. But apart from that, subscribe to the channel. We are on 1032 subs. We're trying to push ourselves to 2500 subs. So yeah, pick up, and you guys are all legends. We love you guys, and see you guys next time.